I know they say what goes up must come down. I ended up going, and then I met my partner and Michael in Mykonos again, and to revisit and see some friends. And a couple of days before he arrived, I was swimming in the sea, and I came out of the sea and I'd stepped on something and I cut my foot. And in hindsight, what you would do differently, but in the moment, I thought it was fine. Went to the pharmacy, showed them. They're like, "Oh yeah, here's some spray and whatever, and you can put a plaster on it, you'll be fine." And a few days later, like, it was worse, and it got worse, and my partner arrived, and it was quite painful. I'd gone out for lunch with some friends. They were like, "You need to go and see someone about this." And we go to the doctor. They were like, "We're closed now till this time. Go back later." And go back later. The guy looks at it, it's infected, and it's really bad. I remember, because of COVID, Michael's sitting outside, so I'm sitting there, showed him this thing. And it's interesting, funny enough, the guy's daughter had gone to, I think, Birmingham University, and he'd lived in Birmingham for years. So there was this, I'm not just in some random Greek hospital scenario. I felt like a bit of trust in this guy, and my brother's a doctor as well, and I called him, and basically he told me that he needed to cut my foot and let it drain because there was all of this infection. I was really apprehensive about it, but he basically said, if you don't do this, it could go really bad. Yes, you can have antibiotics, but that might not clear it up, and then it will get worse, so you've got to do this. I didn't even have time to tell Michael, so he's sitting outside. The guy puts this injection in my thing, cuts into my foot. I scream like nothing. It was like one of the most painful things. And there was a proper hole in my foot. You're talking like 1/2 centimetre hole in my foot. He bandaged it all up and said I could come back in the next couple of days. I changed my thing. I remember leaving, going out, and Michael sitting there still. He had no idea this has just happened. I thought he'd heard me scream, and my foot's in this wrapped up plaster thing. And they didn't recommend to get crutches or anything. And I was still painkiller stuff wearing off. We were like, "No, we're still going out for dinner." And I remember hobbling through town, and my partner giving me this piggyback. And it was such chaos. And I sat at dinner, couldn't eat anything because I just felt terrible. The next few days, we booked to stay in this really nice place, but I couldn't go swimming. Maybe it was me right. I shouldn't have been escaping London. Should have gone back to London. Anyway, I'm there a few more days and ended up with insurance. Again, if you're watching, get insurance, get good insurance. And I took out, especially when you're traveling, there's often companies you can't get travel insurance unless you're in your home country, but there's certain companies that you can. So it was like one of those moments I'm like, so pleased I got the insurance. Booked a trip home with British Airways, so restrictions and lockdown stuff. Lockdown wasn't happening, but you still had to go into isolation when you were coming back from certain countries. And so I really didn't want my dad to see me in crutches, and I was just like, it's fine. My brother was going to pick me up, but my dad then found out, because we can't keep secrets. So my dad turns up, I'm getting wheeled out, and it looked much worse than it was. Anyway, it was fine. My dad then couldn't find the car, picked up the car, got home. But also I was meant to be in isolation, so I was then by myself. I had to change this bandage by myself on a video cam with the GP, screaming around it. And you could see it was getting better. I had to like stuff it with this gauze, and it was still just, oh my God. Why is this all relevant? It's all relevant because on the 15th of September, my watch went off saying that something's happening with my heart. And I remember not feeling great, but there's something was clearly going on. Anyway, I contacted my doctor and said, "Look, this has happened and something's going on." What was amazing then within that week is that I then got progressively iller really quickly. And what had happened was my heart rhythm had changed. I'd gone into something called atrial fibrillation. So there I am, still with my foot in massive pain, still healing. And then my heart rate going up to 120, 150 beats a minute while I'm still sitting still. I go into the doctor. They almost wouldn't let me leave that day. They did some ECG and scans, but they said, because I was seeing the specialist on Friday, okay, you can go home. Go home, come back again on Friday. And because of my watch, what was interesting is everything then had been fast forwarded, and I'll share in the next video as well. There's Vitality Health, my health insurance company. I got like a discounted watch with them, and it's a really interesting thing that's really helped me manage just an understanding and from a limits perspective, but also this awareness. And because of that alert, I was then able to tell the doctors pretty much a week before anything significant had happened, so I could set up the right appointments, contact Papworth to have the transplant assessment again, and all of those things. But then within a week, I was then put on something called bisoprolol, something called amiodarone, again, these drugs, and basically to slow my heart rate down because it was out of control. To be honest, again, my watch came into its own because my foot was slowly recovering, but I was on 2 different medications, and it was bringing my heart rate lower and lower. And at one stage, it was like at 50 beats a minute, and mine's normally at 75, 80. And I literally couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't move, it was terrible, and my partner was with me. I remember, amazing, and credit for my doctor, I emailed my doctor. Basically, if something's going on, you need to go to A&E, and I'm a very conscious non-A&E person. I don't want to trouble anyone, but it's this simple. And also with COVID as well, want to stay out of hospital. I remember I emailed her, and she emailed me back within about an hour or something. It was on Saturday morning, I think it was, and she came back to me, and she was like, stop taking that medication, because my watch, because I could send her the graph showing each day it had gone. Before it was like on at 85, 90, and then it came down 70, 65, 60, 55, and then it was like 51 was the last reading. Because of that information, it was like very clear for her that, okay, the medication is too much, you need to stop that, change that. Literally the following day, then I was going up to Cambridge for a transplant assessment. And I remember my brother picked me up, and I was really struggling to breathe. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out the British Heart Foundation, Cardiomyopathy UK, and Save 9 Lives for more information. Why not comment on the video, tell me what you think, or ask a question, and subscribe to the channel to continue to follow my journey.